Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, welcome back out to Giga Texas. It is Friday the 29th of March 2024, which means we just have 2 more days until the end of the first quarter. And it's really hard to believe that so far 1/4 of 2024 is almost completed. Now today we have kind of an interesting video because half of it will be in some fog, and then about half of it cleared up and became beautiful skies. So at first we're going to get a chance to see some of the south end, kind of a lower altitude just because of the fog. But we do get to see a lot of work that's going on with that south extension, especially on that southeast side. More of the steel erection has happened, and now it's around those 4 tanks. Also, we see more excavation work going on the ground floor on both sides, the south and the north side, in that kind of open area between the new steel structure and the original building. In addition to that, we still see that the construction on the south end is modifying the path of the Cybertrucks leaving the factory and ending up either on the east testing and calibration lot or over on the west outbound lot and end of line facility. Now, speaking of the west side, in between the fog, we get a chance to see a lot of Cybertrucks, more of them being stored on the east side of the end of line facility, a lot down on the south end at the superchargers, and of course on the north end we see where the Cybertrucks are arriving, getting sprayed off by a new white tank that has a lot of water in it, and then once that is completed, then they enter into the end of line facility. I also got a chance to see a number of Cybertrucks doing the testing on the track on the west side of the end of line, and we also see about 10 Cybertrucks driving around the outbound lot and entering in to prepare for shipping. On the south end at the boring tunnel, we see that more work has been done, at least testing the drill head, so more of the dirt has been displaced. We also see in the spoils section more of the conveyor belt, and the area that the dirt's going to be spread into has been installed. So now that entire conveyor belt system looks like it's nearly ready for operation. And we switch back over to the east side of casting. We see that almost all of the screw type piers have been installed on that east side. And in addition to that, we see 2 more sections just north of that area that have been marked and are getting a saw cut to remove more of the concrete. So it looks like almost the entire length of the east side of the casting machine structure is having the concrete removed and being prepared maybe for an extension, maybe for a more elaborate mounting or racking system for the castings, or maybe some other solution that we'll have to take a look at. And finally, I want to show you over on the east side testing and calibration lot, just look at the number of Cybertrucks and Model Ys that are stored on this side as well. The production rate is definitely ramping up. I know that some YouTubers and social media aren't really sure if the numbers that I've been mentioning and what we're seeing on my videos are actually true or not. But all I can do is show you what's going on at the site, and I'll let you decide what is going on. Since it is the end of the quarter, we'll find out very soon what the production rate and the deliveries for the Cybertrucks actually are. And then we can get rid of all of the confusion and the uncertainty that seems to be spread around on social media right now. So other than that, let's get into the drone, let's fly around the site, and let's see what it looks like, almost like 2 days, a foggy day and a sunny day. As always, thank you very much for your support. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good foggy morning here to Giga Texas. About half the video will be foggy and then it will clear up. Also hope that you liked my new drone launching pad. Pretty cool to be able to put it to use for the first time today. Now, because of the fog and the conditions, I'm going to be keeping the drone low initially. So we're going to start here on the south end. You can see that the crates with the windows have been moved over here to the west side, and I'll give you a closer view of that here later. More of the roof decking and a lot of the floor decking has been installed here on this west side of the new steel structure. We still have the open section between the original structure and the new steel structure. Also, you can see the Cybertrucks lining up. There is a new path for them coming out of the end of the building and going underneath the steel structure. But first, let's start here on this corner. I'll zoom in, get a good sense of some additional excavation work and some concrete with rebar. And those are one of three parallel, very similar kind of excavations with rebar work going on underneath the south part of the new structure. And I'll give you a closer view of that as well here shortly. But as I mentioned, you can see the Cybertrucks are exiting here on this part of the site, and then they are traveling underneath the steel structure in the upper center of the screen. And then from there, they are moving over to the east testing and calibration lot or to the west outbound lot. Now, this is a good view of another one of those excavations, more of the rebar and concrete on the ground level. And we see some trenching on the left next to the old original wall. And it's probably for those black pipes that you see at the bottom left of the screen. And then here we can get a good view of a pump truck getting ready for concrete to be poured into another large section of rebar in that excavation. And the forms are quite tall. They're about 3 meters tall. So whatever is being built in there is quite substantial. As I come up over the roof section and look at where the crane is and a lot of the steel items that are being prepared for installation next to the tanks, you can also see that the fog is getting a little thicker here. So I'll just stay at this altitude, give you a good view of the tanks and the steel structure that has been erected around the tanks now. You can see that there's some beams being placed in for the floors on that triangular corner, and another just good look at how this enclosure is going to be once the rest of the building is completed. And more of the steel being stored on the ground for additional installation. Now they're going to have to leave part of that open for the crane to be able to depart the area once they start putting the rest of the steel in that open section between the two structures. As I cross over the roof, I'll bring the drone down to a lower altitude. You can see the Cybertruck. It has just exited underneath the steel structure and now is headed to the west outbound lot. You can also see the covered white tarp on the left. That's part of the items that are used to install the glass. And you'll also note here that none of the glass crates or the glass or any of the other equipment is on this side either. And we can get a good view from this perspective of the steel structure, the new perimeter grade beam, that open section, and how the steel is being prepared for installation here. Also, the windows, I think, are stopped for right now on this southeast corner. They're going to be concentrating on the south end and the west side. So as we continue to fly towards the west along the south end, there's a good view of all the windows on the right-hand side of the screen. Again, that item under that plastic white tarp for installing the windows. You can see more of the black painted window mounts and the columns just behind the glass. And this is a good view of that large excavation with the rebar, the forms. You can see the workers. This gives you a good idea of the scale of this. As I zoom in, it's a little better view. But whatever is going to go in here and on the other two very similar excavations, looks like it may be something pretty substantial, more than just what you would need as a regular floor. And since there's three of them, that's another interesting development to continue to track. You can see on the ground floor more of the rebar being prepared before it's moved over to the excavations. And then here's another one of those excavations that has had some of the concrete poured in the bottom. You can see some of the rebar, and then they will put more forms and continue to add more rebar to make this one also very similar to the other three in the ground floor of this part of the factory. As I pan the drone to the left, you can get a good sense of all of those crates with all of the glass sitting on trailers waiting for installation. So they've been moved over to the southwest corner. And the fog continues to get a little thicker right now, so I'll keep us low. And you can see again that white covered item. That's another one of those kind of booms with suction cups to pick up and position all of the glass. Good close-in view of the amount of glass. There's about 3 panes per crate. So that gives you an idea of how many panes of glass are stored here. There's another 5 of those crates on the left-hand side of the screen. And I'm trying to get low just to give you a good view underneath the structure, the perimeter grade beam. Also, you can see that section of first floor mezzanine right on the edge next to that original southwest angled corner of the building. And more steel on the ground, and some of those wood items, those are shoring that was used for the crane, which has been removed from the site. We can see on the lower temporary platform, looks like rubbish chutes have been installed, and you see the 2 bins on the ground. So they're going to start using this, I guess, to start putting the trash, maybe the broken down crates, that they continue to unpack and install the materials inside that part of the factory. Good look at that west corner and how it is proceeding right now, and the steel work on this side is for the most part completed. Now you can see some of the side tucks here on this temporary storage location. Looks like there's about 15 again here. And I've decided that because of the fog, I'm going to keep the drone low, and we're going to fly to the north along the west side of General Assembly and take a look at a few of the interesting features here. And while I'm doing this, I'm also trying to get the fog to hopefully clear, which it will do a little later in the video. But what I did want to take a look at and revisit is this kind of gray and red item. I thought that this might be a ramp. Here's a good close-in view. But I've had some viewers point out that there's a kind of a conveyor system underneath the door that's just open in that receiving section. And this gray and red item may be bolted to the ground. So it may be part of material handling instead of a ramp for vehicles. So an interesting development. I will continue to try to watch and figure out more about what's going on. Now, as we pass along the west main entrance, it's a good view of how it looks on this foggy day. Cyber berms still have the lights on, but the steel beams and the columns don't have the lights on today. The Model Y end of line looks fairly not busy today right now. At this time of day, we're kind of early in the morning, but that should gear up a little later today, and more of the Model Ys will start exiting the factory in that location. The last area I want to stop on here on the west side is near the north part of General Assembly 1 and the south part of the 4680 production cell portion of the factory. This concrete apron continues to have concrete removed. They've removed the stairs, the old ramp, and also part of the exterior wall. And this continues to be in the process of being reshaped. And some more of the concrete items that have been cut out are sitting on the ground waiting for movement as well. So I'll just continue to watch and we'll see what happens here. It's kind of similar to what we are seeing on the east side of casting going on right now. So because of the fog, I'm going to stop the flight right now. We'll resume on the other part of the highway, and you'll see that the conditions have improved. About 40 minutes has passed, and I just wanted to wait and so we get some better visibility. Here on the east side of the end of line, this gives you a really good close-in view of all of the Cybertrucks that are stored here waiting for processing. I think that was a good low altitude view along all of these Cybertrucks, more on the north end, and a new change. You can see that white tank, It's also hooked up to pressure washers, and crews are using this system now to clean off the tires and the under part of the Cybertrucks because of all the mud on the site. Once this is completed, then they stage to go into the north end of the end-of-line facility. And this has changed. 2 days ago, they were doing it very close to the door, so they obviously wanted to move that away. The test track has definitely been busy. You can see by the tire tracks doing those figure eights at the end, and then positioning to go to the south. As we continue to fly towards the south, you're going to see Cybertrucks entering into and driving in through this testing track. Right now, they're going through the rumble strips, and then they have some bump stops that they go over, and then they do that figure eight and then turn around and come back through the south end of the facility. So you can see those rumble strips, and you can also see these kind of like bump stops here on the ground that they drive over to do some testing. The superchargers are very full again. There's a lot of the Cybertrucks stored on the south end, and a lot more here on this kind of the eastern half of the outbound lot next to these tents. And I think that the basic flow is that they come in here and then they go through the processing, and then when they are finished up with supercharging, then they head over towards the outbound lot. But I'm going to pull away and just give you a good view of some of the earthwork that is going on here on the south end, bringing in more of the dirt with those center dump trucks. They're leveling up the grade, and this is all preparation to extend the asphalt on the center and left of the screen all throughout this entire area, and that will continue to increase the size of the outbound lot. Speaking of which, this is a good view, even though it's foggy, of the outbound lot. There's a lot of vehicles stored on the left, most of them Model Ys, some of them Cybertrucks, and again, trucks picking up the vehicles. And if you notice on the left-hand side of the screen, we have a long trail of Cybertrucks that are heading towards the south along this new roadway. And I'll give you a good view of this, and then we'll follow them around. It looks like they were exiting out of the end-of-line facility, actually probably completed with their testing, and they are now being positioned into the outbound lot, as you can tell. So probably a good maybe 10 or 15 Cybertrucks on the move here all at once. And I was just fortunate to be able to capture this for you here on video, and this gives you a good sense of how they put all of the vehicles together, get them lined up, and then they determine which parts of the outbound lots they go to so that they can be picked up by the trucks and then moved off-site to the distribution points or the railhead, which is up at Taylor, Texas. Here's another good view of all of these Cybertrucks and the ones here at the superchargers a little bit closer in. And there are hundreds and hundreds of Cybertrucks along the entire site today, including the east side. So I'll let viewers, if they want to, count them up, and we'll figure out what the numbers are today. So let's head to the south and take a look at the Boring Company operations. With that black smoke, it looks like the generators are operational, which is a great sign. And in addition to that, you can see the belt cassette, and we can now see that that projection over to the spoils container has been added. You can see that belt, and what that does is as the dirt comes out of the proof rock, goes along that top conveyor to this point, turns 90 degrees, and is deposited into this spoils bin. We can also see that kind of that red and white train has got the tunnel segments getting ready to be moved over and used as the tunnel boring machine makes progress into the ground. And speaking of which, good view of the drill head and more of the dirt that has been displaced. It looks like some have gone into the drill head itself. They may be testing out that conveyor system. Also, we have a large section under black tarp on the left, and I'm not sure exactly what the items are underneath that tarp. Here's a good view of the ventilation system on the bottom and all the rest of the equipment as well. As we fly towards the south, you can see more of those tunnel segments that are stored, getting ready for use. And even though it looks still cloudy and foggy, as we get ready to cross over the highway, we're going to start seeing the fog clearing fairly rapidly now. So I'm going to take this opportunity. We'll fly up over the south end of the extension, and I want to position ourselves over to that area where it has the roof that has had the section removed and check on the progress. Work continues in this section for all of the equipment and manifolds and piping systems underneath this open section. And very soon I would expect to see the ventilation ducts that are stored on the far west storage location moved over here. We also see a lot of workshops and crew area on this part of the roof. It is related to that open section. And we can see that the skies are starting to clear even more over by the multi-level parking garage. So I'm going to bring the drone up and we'll reposition to take a look at the progress with that structure. And we also will note that one of the cranes has moved. It's no longer being used for the construction of the multi-level parking garage, and that's because there's only 3 segments left on the east side before it reaches its full size. There's a good view on the north end, some more of the trenching that is going on, how the roof appears on the left-hand side, getting ready for more of the concrete to match what you see on the right-hand side. As I mentioned, the crane has moved, and we can get a good sense of the other crane in that section where there's only just over 2.5 to almost 3 segments left on that northeast corner. And a good view all the way around the multi-level parking garage. We also see a lot more of the steel corrugated pipe laid out along that robotic avenue extension, and of course the new intersection on the bottom. So it looks like they're getting ready with all of these steel corrugated pipes to do that water management system and connect the existing robotic avenue, which you can see in the upper right of the screen, down towards that intersection. As I maneuver closer to the ground, you can get a good view of all of those pipe segments, also some more of the double T concrete segments for the multi-level parking garage waiting for installation. We shouldn't see very many more of those arriving at the rate that they are going. The east testing and calibration lot is very busy today. I cannot count for sure the number of Cybertrucks. I'll let you do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the number is 150 or in that range. And of course, there's even more of the Model Ys here preparing for their journey to the outbound lot on the west side. So really good view here of all of the Cybertrucks that you can see on this side, and it looks like there's about 6 rows of them right now. So as we cross over the solar panel roof of the superchargers, I'll give you a good view of where the concrete was poured on my previous video. Now it is curing, and they've already started some of the cross-cutting. Another good view of more of the castings on the ground. These are all Cybertruck castings, and of course that section on the left waiting for the ground to be completed so that they can finish off the concrete apron and get those receiving doors operational. Next to the 2 towers, we see more of that earthwork and the berm being widened and prepared for concrete. A lot of the rack mounts for the castings, some of them are empty, some of them are full. And of course, this section that has most of the screw type piers installed. We can see another pile of them next to that black truck. So there are more to come, but this is a good view of most of them that have been now installed into those holes, and they're all fairly level towards the ground. So I'll bring the drone down even lower so you get a better view of how that looks. But as I mentioned in the intro, as we cross over this section that has had all of those screw type piers installed, we can see 2 new sections that have been marked and are getting saw cut for concrete removal. One is right here. You can see all of the cuts that have already been made. So this concrete's about to be replaced or removed, and then we can see the marks in this section where they're going to do all the saw cutting. So pretty much the entire length of the casting machine structure on the outside here on the east part of the building looks to be in the process of being removed and reworked. So we'll watch and see what develops on this side. A lot more of the castings on this northeast corner, some of those trailers that are picking up some of the scraps. And then as we continue to fly along the north end of the paint shop on the left, and the plastics manufacturing with these two black doors on the left as well. I want to give you a good view of what's going on with the 4680 battery cell portion of the factory. We see more large items on the ground underneath the taller of the platforms, and those have been recently arrived and unpacked in crates. We see the middle of the platforms and that concrete panel that's been removed, and then we see more work around the lower of the platform, and steel has been delivered next to the crane as well. So continue to see a lot of activity here preparing for the additional production capability for the 4680s. Here's some views of some dirt and other cleanup at the south end of the Megapack site. Now that it is operational, it looks like they are redirecting their efforts to cleaning up everything and doing some additional dirt work and movement on the south end. As we cross over the power lines, just give you a quick view of the old location for the temporary electrical switch yard. Pretty much all the materials and the copper grounding grid have been removed. There's just some trailers and some other items waiting for a final movement. Now I'm going to fly over towards the east, and we'll take a look at some of the activity that is going on in this part of the site. First, you can get a good sense of the continued work to prepare for the extension of Tesla Road on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. We can see a lot of dirt coming up from some of the equipment here on the south end of the die shop. Also, a large section of paving has been now installed. And in my previous video, we saw all the earth being prepared here for this paving. And it looks like the dirt that we saw being kicked up is part of a sweeper to clean off some of the other dirt that is in this particular area. And there it is in action. The walls for that receiving door and that ramp are in pretty good shape, waiting for the ramp itself. And of course, now on the west side of the die shop, more asphalt being laid down into that section that we saw being prepared on my previous video. This is a good view of that work underway right now. I will say that once this is all completed, especially on the entire west side of this structure, and what you can see in the middle of the center of the screen, it'll be nice because that'll help keep the mud at bay, which has continued to be a problem here for a few years. As we fly low up towards the north, give you a good view of the activity around the lift station right now, and that would be in the center of the screen. You can see those three electrical boxes. Looks like some of the manhole access ports are open, so additional work is going on here. Now, as we fly down the asphalt section of the west side, get a good view of some of the activity here, particularly next to that temporary loading platform and that rubbish chute, and also the groundwork that is being done around this section. Now, between this temporary platform and the chiller plant, there has been some excavation work, and it looks like additional is underway right now. The temporary platform next to the Evapco fan units is being dismantled right now, which is a change. I did not see any additional equipment being installed, so that is kind of unexpected. The roof section on the south end of the chiller plant looks like it's mostly completed, and of course the tanks that have been recently installed as well. So as we fly down the alleyway, I'm going to reposition the drone, give you a good view again of the new asphalt section on the south end of the die shop, and also prepare to take a look at the east side of the battery cathode plant and the area where we see the crash testing facility as well. Now, there continues to be that center section of earthwork that looks like it's being prepared for maybe additional asphalt. A good view of just the few items remaining on this side associated with construction. Of course, the crash test facility and that south pit that is now empty, that is used for dunking either vehicles after the crash or possibly testing of battery packs. And we see some other vehicles that have gone through testing on the north end. The Wade pit continues to be filled with water because of recent rains, but it hasn't been used in quite some time. And the cell test lab and some of the supporting trailers around looks like it's busy as well. The northeast clearing section, and then looking up on the upper right where the rental equipment lot is located, just looks like more dirt has been just moved around and stored here. A lot of equipment, including the stainless steel tanks, have been removed away. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, we see some of that concrete that is being broken up now. This was removed from the casting machine structure, and we see some additional equipment waiting for installation. So because this is getting close to the weekend and also the end of the first quarter for 2024, I thought I would give you a good wide and expansive view of the east side of Giga Texas and the main factory with the new multi-level parking garage in the upper part of the screen. We're flying over the Colorado River and, of course, the tree belt that separates the east side materials and the trailers with the Colorado River. You can see a roadway. It's dirt right now, snaking through the trees, and also the new roadway that is being prepared that will be the extension of River Road, and of course where this is located in relation to the Colorado River. So there will be a lot more of the roadways and access that will connect this side to the north end near the cathode plant at some point in the near future. It's a good view now that the skies have cleared of the entire factory in that south extension and how it is looking today. And of course the cyber pond and many of the sites that we visited earlier today. So I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to talk about and see in this wide-ranging video today. As always, thank you very much for your support, and have a great weekend. Take care.